This is a dramatic reading of Vacancy, written by Kojiseito. Chapter 2, Exigency. Marshall walked into the playroom of the lookout to see Chase deep in thought. In fact, Chase was so deep in thought that he didn't even notice Marshall enter the room or approach him. Marshall walked up beside him. "Hi, Chase!" Marshall waved. "Ah!" Chase yelled aloud, being suddenly startled out of his thoughts. He turned to face the Dalmatian. "Marshall, don't sneak up on me like that," he said, holding onto his chest while breathing out. "Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you," Marshall replied sheepishly. "I wasn't scared, you just surprised me, that's all," Chase corrected. "I thought you heard me come in, but you looked like you were miles away." "I guess you could say that," replied Chase, who caused the Dalmatian to become more curious. "Is everything okay? What were you thinking about?" Marshall asked. "Well, it's just, I've been thinking, and I think it's time to tell Sky how I really feel about her." After hearing this, Marshall's ears slightly drooped as he put on a fake smile. "Oh, what made you want to tell her?" he asked. "Well, you see, when Sky got lost in that snowstorm, it really worried me. I felt like I was going to lose her. All I could think about was going out there myself and finding her. It made me realize that if I was ever going to tell Sky how I felt about her, I would need to work up the courage and do it soon. I can't just wait around anymore. I have to be the one who steps forward and says something, otherwise she'll never know how I feel." "That's true," replied Marshall, moving his paws along the floor in a circular motion. "But what if you tell her and she doesn't feel the same way?" "I'll never know unless I go for it," Chase said, looking away. With those last words from Chase, Marshall then began to go into deep thought himself. "If I'm ever going to tell him, I need to work up the courage and do it soon. I can't just wait around anymore. I have to be the one who steps forward and says something, otherwise I'll never know how I feel." Marshall held his breath with anxiety. "Well, it's now or never," Chase said, turning his back away. "It's now or never!" Marshall screamed at himself. Chase started to walk away. "Chase, wait!" Marshall unintentionally yelled, causing Chase to turn around in surprise. "What? What's wrong?" Chase asked, looking a little worried. "There's something I need to tell you," Marshall said, looking away. He was nervously rubbing his shoulder. Chase walked back to the spot where he was once in front of the Dalmatian. "What is it?" he asked. Marshall couldn't look him in the eye, but he continued to speak regardless. "Chase, I have to tell you, there's someone that I really like too." Chase stared at the Dalmatian's expression for a second before his eyes shot open in shock. "No, don't tell me," Chase started. Marshall braced himself. "You like Sky too?" the shepherd blurted out. Marshall looked a little dumbfounded. "What? No," he replied, shaking his head. "Whew!" Chase placed his paw on his chest in relief. "I thought for sure that's what you were going to say." He gave a nervous laugh. "So who is it then?" The dally began to shift, becoming more and more uneasy. "Oh, is it Everest?" Chase guessed. Beads of sweat were forming on Marshall's face. "Come on, say it! Say it!" he mentally screamed at himself. It's you, Chase!" Marshall finally shouted, lowering his ears. He finally was able to look Chase in the eye as he spoke. "I have these feelings for you, Chase. I have for a long time. You've always been by my side. When I'm with you, I feel happy and safe." Chase was silent for a moment before a smile formed on his face and he burst into laughter. "Oh, Marshall, you're so funny." He continued to laugh, making Marshall's spirit collapse. He looked back at Marshall and saw that he was not laughing along with him. His laughter started to die down as he looked at Marshall just standing there, staring at the floor. "Marshall, it wasn't a joke," Marshall finally said. Chase was speechless as he started to process things and remember something that Marshall had said to him before. "Being in a cave doesn't scare me when you're around." Chase blinked back into reality. "Marshall, no. Just no," Chase replied, shaking his head as he backed away. "I love Sky, and even if I didn't, you're a guy. That's just not right to me. It's just weird. I won't hold anything against you for it, but I can't feel that way about you." Tears were starting to well up in Marshall's eyes, and Chase noticed this immediately. "Come on, Marshall, I'm just being honest here." "Just forget it!" Marshall yelled out, cutting Chase off. His voice was cracking. "Forget this whole conversation. I knew it was a mistake to try and tell you." Streams of tears proceeded to come forth. "It was stupid of me to even try." Marshall ran past Chase with his head down, tears freely falling. Chase was speechless yet again. He didn't know what to say or even do. He just sat there. Present day. Marshall was sitting at a restaurant table with Joey while a very perky waitress was about to take their order. A voice suddenly bursted through the bulky speaker attached to Joey's collar. Joey, do you read me? A male voice asked in the midst of heavy static. Joey reached his paw and held down a small button on the speaker. Yeah, Derek, I read you, but you're a little fuzzy, replied Joey. Okay, there's been an accident on the road right before the ledge of Big View Trail. Can you get there as quickly as you can and make sure the driver and possible passengers are okay? I can meet you there right now, but I'm tending to an elderly woman who fell down a short flight of stairs. Big View Trail? Sure thing. I'm already on my way, Joey answered. Great. See you then, Joey, Dirk said before the transmission ended. Joey quickly hopped out of his seat. Sorry, Marsh. I have to cut our meal short. Duty calls, he said, facing the other Dalmatian. Now I just have to find a cab that can get me where I need to go, and fast. I could come with you, Marshall said with almost pleading eyes. We could use my EMT truck. That's a really good idea, but you sure you're up for this? Joey asked. I'm ready for a rough rescue, Marshall answered, shooting a wink. He leapt out of his seat, running right past Joey. Follow me. The two ran off, leaving behind the waitress, who looked rather confused, and an unknown spy in the bushes, whose attention was directed elsewhere. Only minutes passed before the two were already running across the large bridge to the lookout. Marshall, deciding to call Ryder, tapped his pup tag. Ryder, if you need me, I'll be out helping my friend with something. I'm going to take my EMT truck, Marshall said. Is everything all right, Marshall? Ryder asked through the speaker. Yeah, nothing I can't handle, replied Marshall. Okay, just be careful. Will do, Ryder, said Marshall before ending the transmission. I wish the connection through my speaker was that clear, Joey said, rushing up beside him. This piece of junk I have can barely pick up full sentences, Joey joked, causing Marshall to giggle. An idea then clicked in the fire pup's head, and he smirked. Then I know just the perfect gift for you. Joey raised an eyebrow at the sight of Marshall's smirk, but he decided not to question it. The Dallies reached the yard of the lookout. Give me a sec while I go get changed, Marshall said as he ran toward the lookout entrance. When the entrance doors opened, however, he slipped and tumbled into the lookout. I'm okay, Joey heard him call out. Joey gazed upon the lookout in amazement. This was his first time coming and seeing it in person. Nice digs, he thought. Moments later, Marshall emerged out of the exit wearing his EMT gear and uniform. What do you think? He asked. Pretty snazzy, Joey joked. Marshall gave a sheepish laugh before walking over to his pup house. So, is this your EMT truck? It looks more like a fire truck themed doghouse, Joey said, causing Marshall to laugh. Marshall walked up to the side of the pup house and barked out a certain pattern, and the two watched as the pup house quickly shifted and transformed into an EMT vehicle. Joey's jaw had dropped in surprise. Whoa, that's pretty high tech. Marshall hopped into the driver's seat and reached a paw out for Joey. Ready? He asked. Joey smiled and reached up to take Marshall's paw, and Marshall proceeded to pull him up. Let's go, 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 Marshall said, flipping on the sirens. He hit the gas and the two zoomed off. As they sped over the bridge, they unknowingly passed a curious German shepherd who had been trailing them. Where are they headed? Chase asked himself within his mind. He watched as the EMT truck got smaller and smaller in the distance. He contemplated running to his police cruiser and tailing them, but they were already a good distance away. He huffed in frustration. I should just forget it. I have to meet Sky on Big View Trail in a few hours, he sighed. I guess I'll just get ready. He proceeded to slowly walk towards the lookout. Once inside, he made his way to the entertainment room and plopped himself on the couch. All of a sudden, Chase didn't really feel too much like getting ready. He glanced at a few portraits that hung about on the walls, particularly the ones that contained him and Marshall. He stared at a photo that showed him and Marshall during a game of tag. In the photo, Chase was smiling with the sock covering his nose. He was leaning on Marshall's chest with his two front paws. Marshall was laying flat on the grass on his back, also smiling at the camera while blushing. Chase had always wondered why Marshall was blushing in the picture until Marshall told him of his secret crush. Chase reminisced on these memories as he fell into deep thought. It's like we're not even close anymore. Ever since that day he ran out crying, we stopped hanging out and even playing together. I thought leaving him alone in his sadness would help him get over it quicker, but is it possible that I should have been there to console him? To help him through it? Does he feel like I was ignoring his feelings? Does he hate me? The weather within Adventure Bay had changed rather quickly from what it was earlier. Light gray clouds inched across the fading blue sky and covered the sun. The two Dalmatians quickly passed by many pedestrians and citizens while en route to their destination. Going along the winding road, it didn't take too long for the two to reach Big View Trail. The two looked over to see a vehicle that had crashed into the side of the cliff with tinted windows. "There, that's gotta be it," said Joey. Marshall nodded and pulled over to the side of the road. He and Joey wasted no time hopping out of the vehicle and rolling a stretcher from out of the back of the truck. They quickly approached the crashed car to see that the front of the vehicle was completely mashed in. Joey ran over to the driver's side of the door and tried to open it. "It's locked," he grunted. He stuck his nose against the window and tried to peer through it and see if anyone was inside. Joey tried to focus his eyes and see what he could through the tint. After focusing his eyes, he was able to see a man lying across the driver's and passenger side seats. "I see someone, but he looks unconscious." Joey began to loudly bang on the window. "Hey, you okay in there?" he called out. "We're emergency medical technicians here to help." The man twitched and groaned, but he did not get up. "Do you have any tools that we could use to get inside?" Joey asked Marshall. "I don't want to break the window unless we have to." Marshall pondered for a second. He knew that if Rocky was here, he would definitely be able to get the door open. "I don't think so, but I'll check to be sure," Marshall answered. He ran to the back of his EMT truck and began to rummage through and search for anything that he could use. While Marshall searched, Joey circled the vehicle and studied it. This is a 98 model, he said to himself. He walked back to the driver's side of the car. "I wonder." He turned onto his back and wiggled under the car. There was a compartment on the underside of the vehicle just below the driver's seat, revealing a pattern of wires. "Just as I thought," Joey smirked. He began to rearrange a few wires and adjust a few others. Just as Marshall made his way back over to the crashed car, they both heard a click and all four doors of the car were unlocked. "Got it," Joey smiled. He wiggled back from under the car to meet a surprised-looking Marshall. "How did you do that?" he asked Joey, mouth agape. The 98-year models of this type of car were recalled because getting into the unlocking mechanism of the car was so easy. Anyone could just unlock the car without the keys as long as they knew how. A lot of cars were stolen and broken into because of that manufacturing error, Joey explained before opening the car door. "Get the stretcher ready, Marsh." Marshall did as he was told and rolled the stretcher closer. "I might need a paw to help get him out," Joey said. "Carefully pull his legs while I push him forward." Marshall followed Joey's instructions. He was really taking charge, and Marshall didn't mind. "He's got that natural leader instinct I like so much," Marshall thought to himself. "He really knows how to take charge, just like—" Marshall cut his thoughts off and shook his head. "Yeah, just like him." This has been the dramatic reading of Vacancy, Chapter 2. Hope you enjoyed.